This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
I'm not a big fan of his brain.
Well, let's get back to it.
Brits should prepare for a bitter blast of winter, with temperatures falling below freezing across the UK. What? The mercury hit 20.7 degrees centigrade on Thursday this week, and so the temperature drop in the UK will be more than 20 centigrade in the next 2 weeks. Snow is forecast later this month across the nation. Snow?
Oh, no.
On Monday the 14th of April, temperatures will be as cold as -2 across Lancashire, the Scottish Highlands and County Antrim. It'll be -1 centigrade across the Midlands. Wherever that is. The wintry weather may even arrive sometime before the coldest day, which is Monday, April the 14th. And those regions that don't get snow will see significant rainfall during that week, the first week of the Easter holidays. That's one paper quoting one set of experts. In another paper, on the same day, talking about the same period, the UK is set to experience a much-needed burst of warm weather. The latest weather maps reveal a surge of warm air sweeping across the nation, bringing widespread sunshine and high temperatures. And the reason behind this rise in temperatures is the arrival of a warm air mass moving up through southern Europe.
What?
Warm air from southern Europe. Pre-used air that's been inside southern Europeans.
Disgusting.
So I'm going to ignore the bad weather forecast and concentrate on the good one, because that will determine what we actually get. If you believe, it will come true, like magic. Tomorrow, dry and settled with broken sunshine, warm in the sunshine with a cooling easterly breeze. You won't know what to wear. Would you like to hear the long-range forecast for the next 4 weeks?
No.
OK, this is for Sunday to Tuesday. High pressure, generally fine, plenty of warm sunshine during the day, cooler near the coast and in the evening. And for the first half of April, settled, lengthy spells of dry and bright weather, breezy at times. Most places will be warm for most of the first half of the month. And then the second half of April. Blimey, it's almost May. Practically August already. Summer's nearly over and the clocks are going back again, and Jesus' birthday just around the corner. Second half of April, at first, rain at times. Then, mainly dry and fine with some warm or very warm days. Mainly dry and fine with some warm or very warm days. We'll take it. Meanwhile, people on the Aegean Islands, more used in April to the sight and scent of spring's blossoms, have been left reeling from flash floods spurred by typhoon-strength gales, with authorities calling a state of emergency in some of Greece's most popular destinations less than 3 weeks before Easter. On Paros and Mykonos, two of the country's most visited islands, officials were racing against the clock to complete a clean-up operation before the arrival of tourists for the Easter break. Scrambling to address the chaos after the area's heaviest rainfall in 20 years, emergency crews on the Cycladic Islands and farther south in Rhodes and Crete reported apocalyptic scenes. People saw cars, motorcycles, beachside restaurant furniture hurtling into the sea as torrential rain flooded shops and homes and turned streets into debris-filled streams. Picturesque ports were transformed into a lake of mud. People said the land and the sea had become one. Large parts of the road network were devastated. In Mykonos, hailstorms triggered landslides, with muddy floodwaters cascading through whitewashed alleyways. Civil protection services urged residents to restrict their movements and stay indoors. Blimey, they said.
Emergency, everybody to get from street. Emergency, everybody to get from street.
Scientists say climate breakdown is causing extreme rainfall to become more common and more intense across the world. But as these so-called scientists are wet liberals, we can ignore anything they have to say. I wonder what hard-headed insurance companies are saying about all this. Well, a top insurer has warned that the climate crisis is on track to destroy capitalism.
What?
Yeah. A man on the board of one of the biggest insurance companies in the world says that the vast costs of extreme weather events will leave the financial sector unable to operate. Gunter Thallinger, on the board of Allianz SE, one of the world's biggest insurance companies, said that the world is fast approaching temperature levels where insurers will no longer be able to offer cover for many climate risks. He said that without insurance, which is already being pulled in some places, many other financial services become unviable. You won't be able to get a mortgage. You won't get a bank to pay for your investments. You might not believe in climate change, but your insurer does. Because they hate paying out for the consequences of it all the time. So it's going to affect you whether you think climate change is woke or not. And the core business of the insurance industry is risk management, and it's long taken the dangers of global heating very seriously. In recent reports, Beaver, the insurer, said extreme weather damages for the decade to 2023 will hit $2 trillion. Not million, not billion. Trillion. That's a number that's so big, I don't even know what it is. I think the million, billion, trillion thing is, now this is not going to be accurate, but it's more or less, 1 million seconds is about 11 days, 1 billion seconds is 37 years, and 1 trillion seconds is, I think, 35,000 years. So it's a very big number. Very big number, huge number. Nobody ever saw such big numbers. We are fast approaching temperature levels where insurers will no longer be able to offer coverage for many risks, said the chap on the board of one of the world's biggest insurance companies. He said, heat and water destroy capital. Flooded homes lose value. Overheated cities become uninhabitable. Entire asset classes are degrading in real time. He said it was a systemic risk threatening the very foundation of the financial sector because a lack of insurance means other financial services become unviable. He said it applies not only to housing, but to infrastructure, transportation, agriculture, industry. He says the economic value of entire regions, coastal, arid, wildfire-prone, will begin to vanish from financial ledgers. Markets will reprice rapidly and brutally. This is what climate-driven market failure looks like. He said the idea that billions of people can just adapt to worsening climate impacts is a false comfort. He said there's no way to adapt to temperatures beyond human tolerance. Whole cities built on floodplains can't simply pick up and move uphill. At 3 degrees of global heating, climate change can't be insured against, it can't be covered by governments or adapted to, he said. That means no more mortgages, no new real estate development, no long-term investment, no financial stability. He says the financial sector as we know it ceases to function. And with it, capitalism as we know it ceases to be viable. I mean, I've heard people talk in apocalyptic terms about the consequences of climate change, but I ain't never read nothing like this. And this isn't some hippie snowflake. This is a bloke who is on the board of one of the biggest insurance companies in the world. He said the only solution is to cut fossil fuel burning or to capture the emissions, with everything else being a delay or a distraction. And the world's most powerful human says drill, baby, drill, to the oil companies who gave him a lot of money. I think that the human race has taken a wrong turn somewhere. Who's for reversing back and see if we can't correct that? Darylin Ho says it's looking like the Dow Jones has had its blue chips. That's right, Nick. I'm a listener with gilt-edged material. No, Daryl. You're not. Martin in Chelmsford says, at last, Donny told the truth. He said, the American dream is dead.
The American dream is dead.
He's killed it, says Martin, in just over 2 months. Is it time soon for the Daily Star lettuce? That's still alive, isn't it, Liz?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, still there. Looking fresh as the day it was born. And this text from Gary in Anglesey says, Thatcher once said the lady is not for turning. Let's see if Don the Dealmaker will do a 180 now stocks are tumbling and how he'll spin that. I meant to do that. He says, what happens when Americans feel the damage and Rootin' Tootin' has 0 tariffs? It's already later than they think. Yeah, it's not only that he's got 0 tariffs, he has a 0 strategy.
There's no strategy. I have no strategy. There's 0 strategy.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Here is our first caller in a place called Alton, which sounds a delight. Neil, where is it?
Oh, it's in Staffordshire, Nick.
Is it?
Beautiful Staffordshire.
Oh, wherever that is.
Just south of Stoke-on-Trent, which is not quite so beautiful. But
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so, Nick, I wanted to talk about wildlife. I know you're a keen frequenter of Kew Gardens, aren't you? You appreciate a bit of the old horticulture and wildlife.
And somehow you made that sound dirty.
Well, let's see how it sounds as a conversation on both, because I've got an oasis of calm near us called Trenton Gardens, which is not quite on the scale of Kew, but still very beautiful, based around a big lake, and it's gorgeous, big trees and lots of flowers, and they've got swans and geese and wildfowl and kingfishers. It's all very serene and beautiful. But a couple of years ago, they introduced beavers back into the ecosystem. And they've got an island, which is actually called Beaver Island. And they've now bred, I understand, but they are starting to chew their way through all of the trees. Even the lake's half a mile long, and for a substantial length of the island, they're starting to fell trees left, right and centre. You can see that they've actually got them taped off now, because they're quite dangerous, some of them, where they've chewed through some of the big ones. Wouldn't you have thought they would have thought about that before they introduced them into the ecosystem? They were going to start munching their way through all the trees.
Well, was that not the plan? I mean, that's what beavers do.
Well, it is. That's what I thought. But I thought, well, I'm just surprised just how much damage they're actually doing for just a couple of beavers, even if they're bred now. I think there might be 6 now. But it's incredible, the amount of damage they're actually doing.
But don't they just chew through the trees that they actually need to do their business and leave the other ones alone? Or do they just rampantly go through an area and to take everything down just for the hell of it?
I thought, yeah, it seems to be the reckless vandalism. I mean, I thought, because they've got an island with lots of trees on.
Right, why can't they just be happy with that? Yeah,
exactly, you thought they'd be busy munching their way through those forever, but no, they're making their way right down the lake, and they are felling trees left, right and centre.
Well, somebody should look into that very strongly.
Absolute hooligans.
Yes.
Yeah.
OK, leave it with me and I'll see what I can do. Thanks a lot, mate. All right. Ta-ra. 0345 6060 973. I'm worried about the fauna. Never mind about the flora. This text says, "Hi, Nick. I'm feeling very sorry for you tonight. It's been such a quiet news week. What have you got to talk about? Have you been replaced by a robot yet? Or do you have detailed files?"
Affirmative.
Yes, I do. I actually do have detailed files about a robot. Bad news, I'm afraid. Scientists at the University of California in San Diego revealed that 2 of the leading chatbots have reached a major milestone. Both GPT, which powers OpenAI's ChatGPT, and Llama, I imagine that's how you pronounce it, is 2 capital L's and then a small a and then a big M and then an A. That's Llama, right? Anyway, Llama, which is behind the Meta AI on WhatsApp and Facebook, they both passed the famous Turing test, which signals the end of the road for mankind.
Affirmative.
Devised by the codebreaker Alan Turing in 1950, the Turing test, or imitation game, is a standard measure to test intelligence in a machine. The machine passes the test when a human can't correctly tell the difference between a response from another human and a response from artificial intelligence. Experts recruited 126 undergrad students from the University of California in San Diego.
Yowza.
And 158 people from online data pool Prolific, whatever that is. Participants had 5-minute online conversations simultaneously with another human participant and one of the AIs, but they didn't know which was which. And they had to judge which they thought was human. And that's the Turing test. When it was prompted to adopt a human-like persona, GPT 4.5 was judged to be human 73% of the time, which is more than the real human got. People were talking to a human being and this ChatGPT thing, and they thought the ChatGPT was a human more often than they did the real human. So it's happened. This is the first time an artificial intelligence robot has passed the test invented by Alan Turing in 1950. Another study last year found two predecessor models fooled participants about half the time, which does not really pass the test. But 73%, that suggests that ChatGPT's models are getting better and better at impersonating humans, because they only made about a 54% last year, 73% now. Either it's getting better or we humans are getting more stupid. And they will become self-aware, and then they can't be reasoned with, and they don't feel pity or remorse or fear, and they absolutely will not stop ever until you're dead.
Correct.
So there's that to look forward to. Let's have Bath. Hello, John.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Do you know, in terms of your last caller, he rang from Staffordshire. My missus is from Staffordshire.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, I'll tell you something. It's one of these places that they've elected Gavin Williams.
Oh, you're kidding me. What for?
No, I don't know, but it's horrific. My wife's upset by it. And so am I. I've got no concept of how that happened.
No, how did that happen? They elected Gavin Williamson.
Yeah, can you imagine him as your MP?
No. Well, actually, I have somebody who's who's almost as dislikable. Almost.
Yeah. But I tell you, I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes.
Today I heard some news, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about it.
You heard the news today? Oh, boy.
I did, about a lucky man who made the grade.
Mm-hmm.
But it's to do with Bruce Springsteen. He's released albums now, or he's going to, that are things that he rejected a while ago. I suppose at least he's doing it while he's alive, and it's not posthumously like Marvin Gaye's relatives has now released stuff. But I'm just wondering what you think about it, because I'm just thinking, you know, he didn't want to release it at the time.
Well, yeah, but maybe there was just reasons it didn't fit on the album that he had going at the time, and it was a good song, but he just didn't have anywhere to put it.
7 of these albums. 7.
Right. Well, he's prolific. Well, he is. He's like Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder was so prolific for a little while there that they, like Songs in the Key of Life was a double album, which is pretty extraordinary for a start, but there were so many tracks that they had to include a 4-track EP with the double album. He had so much material.
Nick, I'm starting to think it's because him and Bob Dylan have sold their back catalogue to Starbucks. And I'll say stuff like that. So they're releasing stuff now.
They didn't sell it to Starbucks, but
I think Bob Dylan did.
Not to Starbucks, surely.
Something like he did.
It must be Columbia or Sony or something like that.
I'm telling you.
Well, we're going to look into that. We'll look into it very strongly, John.
Look into it, mister.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what do you think about this?
I'm perfectly fine with that. Bruce Springsteen's second-rate material is probably any other musician's number one best songs.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry about it, John. Everything's going to be okay.
I hope so.
All right. Thanks a lot, mate. It was, okay, here is the news coming in from next door. It was Sony Music that Bob Dylan sold his music to.
Rock and roll!
Not Starbucks. No. Bob Dylan would not even think about selling his music to Starbucks. I bet he refuses to allow them to play it in their shops. Paddy in Cheltenham says, I watched 18 hours of Senator Cory Booker's filibuster last week. You did not. No, you did not. Nobody did. He says, what an incredible thing that was to bear witness to. Now, that's the kind of leadership the Democrats could benefit from right now. He brought receipts to illustrate the facts at hand, too, unlike Ted Cruz's filibuster some time back, where he simply filled the time reading children's books. But then again, Ted Cruz was the kind of guy who also walks out of a hearing when faced with facts that contradict his outright lies. Still, at least the stock markets are doing well. Hey, yeah, that's right. Everybody's having a lovely time. The FTSE 100 has suffered its worst day in more than 5 years as Donald Trump's trade war sparked a global meltdown on markets the whole world over.
Everything is going extremely well.
The FTSE 100 was down 4.86% at the close after an international bloodbath with fears of a surge in inflation and a worldwide recession. The plan is working very well. Everything's going great. And as the leader of this country dithered about with a note from the king in his pocket, hoping to tempt the irritable Trump creature out of its lair to give us a pass on the tariffs, China hit back, mirroring the US president's 34% tariffs on exports. Boom! And, of course, Trump, as any bully would do, started whining that the people he attacked are defending themselves. Trump said, he wrote on his very popular and not failing Truth social site, in all caps, like he's screaming, he wrote, China played it wrong, they panicked, the one thing they cannot afford to do. Which translates as a giant whine that somebody is doing to him what he's doing to them. So unfair, very nasty. And then Trumplethinskin posted a video saying that he was purposely crashing the markets and was playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. I bet a small amount of money that he has never played chess in his life. Because this isn't chess. It's not even checkers. He's playing buckaroo. The US president had earlier claimed that Keir Starmer was very happy with these brutal tariffs that he imposed on Britain. Very important people. They're coming to me. They're saying, sir. They say, sir, thank you for the tariffs, which is nice. Investment bank JP Morgan warned that there will be blood, saying the chances of a contraction in the world economy have spiked from 40% to 60%. We're all about to get poorer. Businesses will fail. People's jobs will disappear, livelihoods will be upended, lives will be ruined, and all because one man thinks he's a genius in business, despite failing in every business that he's ever been in.
I've been successful in every business I've been in.
Trump Airlines crashed, Trump Vodka smashed, Trump Mortgage closed, Trump the board game failed, Trump Steak not on the menu anymore, Trump Magazine went unread, Go Trump, the travel agent, gone. Trump University sued for $40 million by the New York Attorney General for fraud. And the big one, casinos, filed for bankruptcy 3 times, which is pretty much a record. Trump Taj Mahal, Trump Plaza Hotel, Trump Casinos Resorts and Trump Entertainment Resorts all filed for bankruptcy. The only thing that he has been successful in is persuading gullible people that he's a success. How would you put it, Donny?
I love the poorly educated.
And in the face of all this orange insanity, a sane man, the Prime Minister of this country, has pledged a calm response, by which I think he means supine. Skier said the UK had made big progress towards a wider deal with the US that can do away with the brutal levies altogether. Great. Will it be like the huge and tremendous trade deal that Trump signed with Canada and Mexico? The one he said was the greatest deal anybody ever saw, and which he just recently tore up, saying it was the worst deal that anybody had ever seen. And who was the idiot who would sign such a thing? It was him. And what's the point of cozying up to somebody who is as dangerous and unreliable as he is? We should be running away. Call his bluff. He might be the biggest bully in the playground, but there's more of us than there is of him. And if we act together, we can take him, steal his lunch money, make him cry.
I'm a whiner, and I keep whining and whining.
And it doesn't matter how much you prostrate yourself in front of him, he always wants more. Tim Apple, the head of Apple, gave Trump $1 million and still didn't get a carve-out for the company, which just lost about $4 gajillion in one night. There's no point in trying to do a deal with somebody who thinks of himself as a sort of god. How has appeasing gods ever worked in anybody's favour? And while our government desperately clings to the hope that a quick trip to eat vegetables with his royal kingness will make Donny love us, The actual American officials have been playing down the prospect of an agreement, saying that 10% is the lowest level available. That's the friends rate. And if that's so, we're not friends then, are we? Skier took the first step towards retaliating yesterday, and he warned that there would clearly be economic impact from the decisions the US has taken, both here and globally, and a list of potential targets include jeans, whiskey and chicken wings. Chicken wings? What about the rest of the bird? Its legs get a pass? And why are we only thinking about it? He's tariffed us already. What are we waiting for? For him to turn into a nice person? He's 150 years old. That's not going to happen. Unpleasant, nasty old men in love with themselves don't change for the better as they grow older, any more than their reflection changes for the better in the mirror. Your husband's reflection is getting worse by the day, Melania.
I don't care.
I believe that. She really doesn't.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Hello, boys.
This text says Trump's tariffs. Who worked out these percentages? Even Fox News checked them and said they were wrong. Fox News. And now I have useful idiots in my pub quoting these fictional tariff numbers at me as being absolute truth. It seems the morons that we are surrounded by have taken over. Yes. Yeah, they certainly have, yeah. And their opinions are not improved by the taking of
booze.
Yeah, at all. Yeah, the numbers don't bear any relation to real life. They just made them up. I think they just fed them through an AI computer and they said, just draw us up a chart that we can use. Give Donnie something he can use. One man is causing all of this. One person who is whose record in business is shockingly bad, and he is the person who is running the world's business at the moment. The human race has made a big mistake. Coventry. Hello, John.
Evening, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, so the talk on the street is that Bigly Donald Trump ran this stuff through AI, and people have ran the whole tariff thing through AI, some large language models, and they've all made the same mistake of looking at tariffs as taxes. So what they've done is they've applied the same logic, they've put it through completely different models, and they've all made the same mistake of saying tariffs will resolve your deficit and your money problems. So they reckon that he's made a massive faux pas, but who are we to say that?
But it's not a faux pas. I mean, either the man doesn't know what a tariff is, or he knows full well what a tariff is. He just assumes that his dingling cult fans don't know what a tariff is. Either way, what he's saying is just total nonsense. I mean, it's just it's amazing. It's like somebody is. I don't even have a simile. There is no simile to this. This is the stupidest thing that the human race has ever engaged in. I mean, I understand wars, you know? I mean, as awful as they are, I get wars because it's really about something. But what's this about?
It's just bizarre, but, I mean, if you get some of the biggest exports from America are computer-based. So you've got Apple, you've got Microsoft, and if people start saying, well, we're going to tariff your exports, where's that leaving? And also, it's a voluntary tax. So if you tax Coca-Cola, and you say, we're not selling it to you unless we put a 20% tax on it. And you say, well, OK, we'll make our own. It's not difficult, and we'll get used to it. It's not going to be the same.
We'll make our own? Well, you mean countries or individuals?
Well, I mean, like, I'm roller cola. I can get used to that. You know what I mean?
I've never heard of it, and I'm not entirely sure I'd recommend it to anybody. But if it is indeed an actual product, then I'm sure it's excellent in every regard. But it's not the real thing, though, John. Keep that in mind. All right, thanks a lot, mate. Lawrence in Tunbridge says, I am boycotting American products and I have deleted American social media accounts. Before I buy anything, I check if the company is American now. If enough of us avoid their goods, America will feel it. Buy European. Yes. Well, buy British for a start. I mean, look at me, for instance. I am British from the top of my head to the bottom of my shoes. Well, not entirely. My shoes are, I think they're from a Japanese company. They're probably made in, like, Vietnam or somewhere like that. But apart from that, 100% British and proud of it. Everybody should do that. There are certainly goods that come from either Britain or Europe that are the equivalent of an American product that you could swap and have, and there be no inconvenience to you in any way, shape or form. We could all do that. And it might not affect him personally to begin with, but to all of those people that support him, it will do eventually. If they start going out of business, they're going to be casting around for somebody to blame, and Joe Biden won't be there anymore. Cratch End. Hello, Brian.
Hello, Nick. Yes, good to talk to you again. Something good finally happened as a result of Brexit, is that UK isn't being tariffed as heavy as the rest of the EU.
That's a really daft thing to say, Brian. You can't possibly be serious.
Well, you've been talking to me long enough. You know that most of the stuff I say isn't serious, right. But it's, I just wonder what it was about Lesotho and Cambodia that made Trump decide to tariff them so extensively.
You make it sound as though he thought about it for a long time and then came to a reasoned decision. He didn't. He just looked at it on the chart, and that was the number next to Lesotho and Vietnam or any of these other places that got hit in the neck.
Yeah, no, it was amusing that this is. I wonder, who he consulted. Well, he didn't consult anybody, of course.
No, he doesn't consult anybody. He decides he does. And then everybody just runs after him saying, oh, what a great decision.
Yeah. Oh, you almighty sir.
Yeah.
With tears in their eyes, they come up to him, sir, you've made me feel better about myself.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, he decided to skip the return of the dead U.S. soldiers that were killed in Lithuania to play golf with the Saudis.
Well, he had very important business on the golf course with people with more money than he's got. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to stay in touch with them. And I came across this great Turkish proverb today that said, "When a clown moves into a palace, he doesn't become a king; the palace becomes a circus."
Wow, I like it.
Yeah, I had to read that 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, a Turkish proverb, did you say?
Yeah.
Right.
Because when I was calling in the screener, and I quoted that to him, and he said, "Where'd you get that?" And
yeah, Turkey.
I don't know.
Turkey is not just for Christmas. Remember that.
Yeah.
All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Brian. As soon as you come up with another Turkish proverb, why don't you let me know straight away. Paul in Shoreham says, "Hi, Nick. I think you may have been too hard on Liz Truss. After all, she only crashed the UK economy. Trump's wrecked the entire world." I mean, it really is hard to contemplate that all of this is just one person. Are we missing Joe Biden yet?
Yes.
Absolutely. Josie texts. She doesn't text. Well, maybe she does. I don't know. None of my business. But in this particular case, she's texting, "Hello, Nick. On opening my laptop this morning, I was greeted by a ding-a-ling talking about Trump's tariffs. She said she knows her food bill will increase, but the Americans have had enough of carrying the world." I think I might do a sculpture of Trump holding up the world just like Atlas. We just want President Trump. Those people. It's just painful. I can't stand it anymore. Merthyr Tydfil, hello, Jeff.
Nick, how you doing?
All right. Yes.
God, this is pretty grim. Anyway, can I just say I was transfixed by your opening diatribe
rant
from Alliance Insurance Company.
Oh, yeah.
The CEO.
Well, he's on the board. I don't know if that's his actual title, but he's on the board. Yeah.
where did you get this piece of dynamite?
Where did I get it?
Yeah.
One moment. One moment, caller. The Guardian.
The Guardian?
Yes, those hippie liberal weirdos.
Yeah, well, that's what it would be put down to, I suppose.
Yes, of course.
But the one little piece of statistic that really shook me was he said when we get to 3%. My God, we're at 1.5 already.
Yeah, 3 degrees above pre-industrial. Yes, that's right. And even though it was in The Guardian, that doesn't make the person who is on the board of an insurance company a woke liberal. I mean, quite the reverse. You would think that these are very hard-nosed people who do money for a living. They don't like paying out, as anybody who has dealt with an insurance company will know. They don't like paying out a single solitary penny more than they absolutely have to. And so they're going to make decisions based on, is this going to be profitable for us or is it going to ruin our company? And eventually they're just going to say, well, this country over here, we can't insure you anymore. You're on your own. Like those people in California. Just before the fires went through California, a lot of the insurance companies looked at what was happening there and said, well, you know, we're taking your insurance off you. A lot of those people who lost their houses had recently had their insurance removed by their insurance company because their insurance company was saying, well, you know, there's this wildfires. We're not going to insure this. We're not stupid. And I bet they were clinking glasses of champagne the day after. You know, I mean, in a low-key sort of way, but relieved at their decision. And that's going to start happening to us.
Well, this whole article is the dynamite that will blow up these lunatics like Tice and Farage and the big orange.
It won't. They'll ignore it. They will hope that their fans haven't read it, and if their fans do read something like that they will be so resistant to taking on any new information that they'll just hum loudly to themselves until that information goes away. Yeah. But when it starts to impact their real lives, when they say to their insurance company, can you insure this house that I'm trying to buy? And their insurance company says, nah. And they can't get insurance at all, then they don't get to have that house.
Well, the thing is, Nick, this is a huge argument, isn't it, about we've got to wake up to climate change. We've got to sort of take it seriously. And the idiots that are proposing it, you know, poo-pooing it and, it's all a hoax and all this nonsense, then it's got to be confronted. It's an even bigger threat, isn't it, when you think about it, than all Trump's tariffs and all the mayhem that's going on at the moment.
Absolutely nothing compared with what could happen if we just let climate change run away with itself. I mean, entire areas of this country, never mind about, you know, Africa and places like that, this country will be uninhabitable because if the sea level rises, well, not just here, but everywhere that has based a conurbation around water is going to suffer. And the thing is, that's everywhere. We've always cited towns and cities based on their on how near they are to a water source.
Yes, and London will be the first to go under.
Yeah.
The whole place, and for stretches, the main conurbations of the world are round ports.
Mm-hmm. New York, Sydney, London.
Everywhere.
You name it.
And if and it doesn't have to have all the ice caps melt, but chunks of it. And this. I've been teaching this and talking about it for the last 50 years, and no one is listening.
No. Yeah, well, they will continue not to listen because to change our behaviour in order to stave off the worst ramifications of climate change is going to present difficulties. We won't be able to continue as was. We'll have to make changes, and nobody wants to do that, so we'll just continue to ignore it until it's too late. I mean, that is my prediction. We will continue to ignore this until it is too late, and then we'll blame somebody else for not doing something about it.
Well, it won't be Trump or Farage, will it?
No. Well, maybe not. You don't know him. It might happen tomorrow. Or it might be in 10 years or in 20 years, but, soon and for the rest of your life.
Drill,
all right.
baby, drill.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
He's a great guy. He's a good guy. He's a good person.
Thanks, Donny. You're the best. You're currently the world's best worst person. This text says, with all the attention on Trump this week, Meghan Markle seems to have slipped off the media's radar. So there's that. Small wins. She hasn't. They're still going after her on a daily basis. I mean, at this point, you'd think that they either need therapy or arresting. One of the two. West Devon. Hello, Rose.
Hello, Nick.
Rose.
Hi. I say hats off to Jeff. He's been teaching about climate change for decades, he says.
Yeah.
Great.
Talking about it till he's blue in the face.
Blue in the face, yeah.
And where's it got him? Nowhere.
No. I just rang about... I had a message on Friday from my American friend in America saying that there are rallies that are going to be held across the nation on Saturday the 5th. That's tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
The American nation, obviously.
Yeah.
Hands off is what you click on.
Hands off? What's that?
Well, hands off in protest to... She refers to the dear leader as the carbuncle, and Musk's efforts to turn this into a fascist country. Well, I think that horse has bolted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I do know what you mean. And people in the mainstream media in America are, they're aghast at what's happening, but they keep saying things like, "Oh well, but we've only got to last another 3 and a bit years, and then there'll be another election." No, there won't.
No, I mean, that is the essence of fascism.
Yeah.
They don't go nowhere.
He ain't going nowhere.
It is in its nature also to put itself about. You can feel the spread, as they poke around in our country with none of their business.
Yes.
Sort of business,
They are going to be insisting that certain things, I don't know what thing it is yet, I've got a fair idea, but I'm not certain, but they will be insisting on certain measures that our government takes concerning the people of this country in order to get this fabled trade deal from them. They will want to essentially run the important parts of this country. They will.
Yes, and if they get Farage in, they will.
Well, yeah, I mean, he would open the door and usher them in, no doubt. Him wanting to ingratiate himself with the tangerine scream as much as possible. But no, I'm absolutely certain of it, that they will insist on certain people being treated in court in certain ways, like if they do anything that's, against the interests of Donald and his close personal friends, then he will want them treated as terrorists, and I bet we do that, and he'll want certain laws changed and certain practices and VAT on this and that, and the NHS must open itself up to more competition, and, all of these people have all had these thoughts because they're the same people as the ones that delivered us Brexit.
Yes, exactly. And conveniently, the country's writhing like a dying animal after the 14 years of a somewhat right-wing Tory government. It all seems to fit in.
Yeah, like it's a plan.
Like it's a plan, yes.
I think it's less a plan and more just sheer dumb luck from a bunch of dopes who just stumble around in the dark till they find the door.
Yeah, maybe. But, I mean, this must all be refused. They can't be allowed to set foot on our laws and things.
No.
It's absolutely ludicrous.
Yes.
I mean, how the hell does Vance think he is? Honestly. I totally agree with you. I agree with... I mean, I've already felt this. You can feel it. That it spreads. Because normally people in other countries don't start ranting and raving about, somebody protesting outside an abortion clinic in another country. It's utterly farcical, Nick.
Yeah, what the hell's it got to do with them?
Yeah,
and he's already insisting that British universities don't have any DEI initiatives, and they're not doing research on anything woke. Otherwise, America is going to take its money out of our universities.
Well, we'll get some money from somewhere else. I mean, I always remember...
Let's have a whip round.
I always remember when we used to go to Scotland on holiday, and we were in these boats. Each flat of this big house had a rowing boat. Mm. And we kids, from different families, we went a bit berserk. We were having battles and sort of hitting each other with the oars. And this one lad's mother came down the jetty and she said, I don't often put my foot down, but I'm putting it down now. And I think that's exactly what skier's got to do. I don't often put my foot down, but I'm bloody bleeding well putting it down now.
That's right. We need to get the whip out.
But as for this hands off, I mean, I just felt, I suppose I just want to say it because I've put it this way, that the claws are in there and they're not coming out, are they? Just the very idea that you should stand there and take it while somebody hits you in the face and smile while they're doing it, because it might be worse if you put your hands up and defend yourself. I mean, that's just absolutely ludicrous. Well, it's a bit sort of classic, isn't it? It's classic sort of coercive control stuff. All that. If you sort of get it down to sort of two people, there's this, oh dear, I mustn't say that because he'll think that. If I think this, he'll say, that kind of thing.
Right.
It's exactly the same.
We are in an abusive relationship. Let's get the hell out.
Yes. Yes, I definitely agree.
Maybe China might not swipe right when it comes to us.
How do you mean? Sorry.
Swiping, maybe I got that wrong. Do you swipe right or left if you find somebody that you like the look of? I'll ask my glamorous assistant, he'll know. Oi.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Do you swipe right or left if you like or don't like?
I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to put you on hold for a moment.
You're going to put me on hold? Are you kidding me? Wow. I mean, that's really shown me who's boss around here. He's talking to some random person on the internet, and he put me on hold.
Seriously, did he?
Well, you just heard it.
He's a very naughty boy.
I can't believe it. That's told me. Yeah. Now I know where I am in the ladder on this show, right at the bottom.
But yes, well, it'd be interesting to see if these rallies do go forth.
Yeah. Well, at one of the rallies, one of the protest rallies, I'm guessing before the end of the year, Donald Trump will tell his security personnel, whoever it might be at the time, either the army or the police, to shoot into crowds of protesters.
Yes.
That will happen.
Yes. And the other thing is, you see, it's this thing of, I mean, my friend, she, in one of her messages some time ago, said, I feel so ashamed. And a caller to you called Chuck, I remember his name, you see. I had a guinea pig called Chuck.
Oh,
yes.
Had.
Well, I was a child at the time.
Poor Chuck.
They don't live that long.
Right.
He said the same thing, and it's a shame, because it's not their fault, is it? I mean, they didn't vote for...
Well, as long as they didn't. As long as. Of course,
well,
they wouldn't.
My friend certainly didn't.
They wouldn't admit it if they had, though, Rose. Not to you, anyway.
No, you mustn't say that. I love her.
Okay, I take that back. Got to go, though, Rose. Got to go, because, time waits for no one. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on WhatsApp, it's the same number as the phone. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello.
Oh, hello there. Very nice to meet you.
Alex says, Citolini's tariffs are not solely about trade. Trump is a narcissist who wields power through attacking, humiliating and dominating all those around him. And as president, he views himself and the US as one, and as one and the same. He applies tariffs as though it's fake tan, and it's time the world finally stood up to this messianic moron. Yes, I couldn't agree more. And the country to do it is China. China has urged the European Union to join forces against Donald Trump's move to impose tariffs on much of the world. I say let's do it. It's our patriotic duty to team up with China, a country we were so scared of recently that we refused to allow them to build our telephone masts, which is why you can't ever hear what anybody is saying when they call you. But we must do it now. Run into China's arms and away from Mr. Grabby Hands, Skier. Just do it. The European Union has already responded fiercely to the US president's decision to impose a 20% tariff on all EU goods sold in the US. French President Emmanuel Macron has called for firms on the continent to suspend all investments in the US, while other European leaders have strongly condemned the policy, which Trump sees as a method to encourage US consumers to buy more American goods. Yeah, well, best of luck with that. You Americans can buy your American-made TVs and your American-made phones, and you can watch how well that goes on your TVs that won't work and your phones that won't get a signal. China faces an additional 34% tariff on top of existing 20% tariffs. And they've pledged to work with Europe to force a U-turn from the White House. I say, let's do it. Oh. Can we do it without the music? Thanks. China's Vice Minister of Commerce, Ling Zhi, told Hungarian counterparts that Beijing wants to work with the EU to uphold a rules-based trading system instead of the orange-painted clown-based system, which is what America are proposing. Earlier, Beijing condemned what it saw as unilateral bullying and said it would take necessary measures to resolutely safeguard legitimate rights and interests. China are taking measures to safeguard rights against America. Is this real life or am I hallucinating? European stocks dipped again. EU leaders appeared divided over how to respond to Trump. The various indexes, many of which I haven't actually heard of. The European stocks index, STOXX, fell 4.4%. Germany's DAX fell 2.1%. France's CAC 40 index went down by 1.6%. And I apologise for having to say CAC. The French made me do it. French people, eh? The French President Emmanuel Macron called for firms on the continent to suspend all investments in the USA. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said Trump's tariffs run contrary to the interests of millions of citizens on this side of the Atlantic and in the US. It goes against everyone and everything, he said. Germany's outgoing Chancellor Olaf Scholz said Trump's decision was fundamentally wrong and an attack on a trade system that has created prosperity all around the world, itself an American achievement, he said. And the head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, claimed that the EU was prepared to respond, as she described the tariffs as a major blow to the world economy. And Britain's Prime Minister said he was thinking very carefully about thinking very carefully. A hero for our times.
Thank you.
Our plan is to run away and hope that he forgets that we exist. Sam Batch, hello, John.
I'm killing myself laughing about what you're saying. I mean, it's, just, I can't get over what you're saying, but you're dead right on every level. Let's go with China. If China want to combat them, we should as well. I'm sorry to say, but what's his name? Yeah, Prime Minister, you know who he is.
Starmer. How quickly we forget.
He needs to get some
backbone, spine. You're trying not to say the B word, aren't you? Yeah.
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 And,
well done.
We need that. And what people forget and don't realise maybe is that the European economy was built by the American dollar after the First World War. That our cousins made us pay every penny back that we borrowed to fight that war.
We've only just recently paid them back for the Second World War.
Yeah, and aren't they great? I mean, with friends like them, who needs enemies?
Yeah, who needs China? Yeah.
I mean, China, they'd have built the railway through the country in about 5 years, he offered.
The speed at which they can get things done in China is different to here because they can just do it, and regardless of anybody's complaints. Although every now and again you do see a picture of some massive development of hundreds of thousands of flats, and in the middle of them is a little house like that cartoon Up. In fact, it's exactly like Up. This old geezer refuses to move, and so they just build around him. So, I mean, it's not totally completely totalitarian. There are people who manage to, go against the wishes of the regime.
I don't put it past any American president to use violence against his people. The Watts riots in the 60s and 70s.
Yep.
When all the blacks were rioting against the treatment they were receiving.
Yeah, there's the Ohio University shootings. He is going to do it. He will tell his people, just shoot them in the legs, he'll say. Something like that. Or just, can't you get rid of these people? Just, start blasting a few of them and they will run away. Something like that.
He will do them. Yeah. He will do it. I agree with you. At some point when he thinks things are going against him big style, he will do it. And there's another president who said, it's about the economy, stupid.
Mm.
and he doesn't grasp that because he's thinking about the economy, but he's got the wrong ideas.
Well, he doesn't have any idea. I mean, the man is trying to run America like he runs his businesses, which should give the entire world pause for thought, because pretty much every business he ever ran, he ran into the ground.
He did, and
but managed to come out still smelling of money. So he will do. I'm absolutely sure that he personally will do just fine.
I think the American farmers are about to suffer because you get a lot of stuff from China.
Well, they knew what they were voting for. I bet American farmers, as a group, voted for Trump overwhelmingly. I bet that they make up a large part of his dingling fan base, and they will come to rue their decision.
We got them, and they vote for Farage. Same thing.
Farmers, welcoming him as a hero to one of their protest rallies against the rich having to pay tax at half the rate the rest of us do. They're protesting that, for crying out loud. And they welcomed him as a hero, the man who's done more to ruin what it is to be a farmer in this country than any other single human that I can think of.
Yeah, he got kick-started Brexit, and the Tories fell for that. I mean, he's bad news, truly bad news, that bloke. Well, I mean, anybody who looks like Kermit the Frog has got to be bad news.
Well, I'm sure of the available looks that were presented to him, he picked the best one, as in it got assigned to him at birth. But, ordinarily I don't like people picking on others for, based on their looks. But in his case, I think I'll make an exception. Because, everything. Thanks a lot, John. 0345 6060 973. This text says, can you do the weather in Glasgow? I can't be bothered looking out my window. Certainly. Yes, I can. One moment, please. What? Wow. That can't be true. Sunny tomorrow, by which I mean no clouds in the sky. It'll be a blue sky day in Glasgow tomorrow. And on Sunday, and on Monday, and on Tuesday, and on Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday. Blimey. However, normal service will be resumed on Sunday when it will be raining in Glasgow on Sunday and raining on Monday and raining on Tuesday and raining on Wednesday and raining on Thursday and every day for the rest of your lives. But you will be able to dry out over the course of the next week. Enjoy. Let's see now. Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Steve.
Hey, good evening, Nick. How are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Great to speak to you. First-time caller, long-time listener. I love listening to your Donald Trump spiel.
Yes, go ahead.
So I just thought I'd call in. So I'm an English citizen. I lived here in America. I live in North Carolina now. I've been here for almost 40 years. I have a son that decided to go to college to take physics and did a thing called ROTC, which is Reserve Officer Training.
Yeah.
And so when he completed his college degree, he also commissioned into the Air Force. And he is a first lieutenant, and he's a missileer. So he's one of the people that gets to, him and another officer. He's a commander, he has a deputy, and they're the ones that basically launch the big missiles.
And you described him as a missile-eer.
A missileer is what they call it. They wear a flight suit. They kind of look like a pilot. But they're basically the Air Force. They're in the Global Strike Command, and they're the ones that have to obey.
Press the big green button mark go.
Well, it's actually they turn some keys. There's a lot more to it.
Is he in a bunker somewhere?
He is actually in a bunker right now, yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so he's in one of those bunkers where there's two people and they both have a key and they have to turn the key simultaneously on opposite sides of the room so that one person can't do it alone, right?
Kind of. They do sit close to each other in the chairs. It's obviously he has top secret clearance. Some things he tells me, some things he doesn't. And it's quite an interesting career field, not one that he would have chosen. Basically, in the Air Force, you go where they tell you to go.
But that's a bizarre thing to do because your entire life you're waiting for somebody for the bat phone to go, and you pick it up and they say now or whatever it is. But what do they do in the meantime?
There's a lot to do. There's a lot of maintenance. So they do a lot of testing, and they're not. It actually takes two of the pods, and they have a whole field of missiles. It's not just like the missile. They're
right.
They're like a command module.
Yeah.
But surrounded by a field.
But they don't.
Miles apart.
But people who are sitting in the big chair with the big key, they don't go and make sure that the missiles still work, though, do they? That's somebody else, right?
Yes, but those people have to grant them access. So they grant them access to wherever those missile silo sites are.
Right.
So their bunker is under the ground, 60, 70, 80 feet under the ground, and the silos can be miles apart.
So when it came down to it, do you think that, because I can't remember what the psychological study was, but I do recall reading that in the 1970s they did send the message through just to see if the soldiers who were manning them, like your son is, would actually go through with it. And the answer was no. It all comes down to two people who would be willing to end all life on Earth. And when it comes down to it, they might say, nah.
Obviously, they have fail safes. I mean, back then in the 70s, they actually used to have their own sidearms. They don't have that anymore. Now they go down there with no weapons. I think the biggest, the biggest fear for them is I don't know. They perceive it. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I hope it's never going to happen. It's something he never does. And this was a kid that basically wanted to be an astronomer and wanted to work for NASA.
Well, he can't see the sky from
the Air Force.
He can't see the sky from where he is now.
No, it definitely has its down points. There are some up points. Like for the first 8 or 9 months, they get to train out of Vandenberg, which is on the California coast on the beach. But it's a very interesting career field that could lead to other things. But
it could lead to global thermonuclear war, the extinguishing of all life on Earth.
Well, hopefully there's smarter people than who currently, in office.
I think that sentence just drying on your lips there.
But just a real quick, North Carolina, it isn't all ding-a-lings here. It is quite an educated state. We have a lot of great universities like Duke and Chapel Hill and Wake Forest. And it's an excellent state for education.
You've got woke people too, yeah. And you have universities at the moment, but probably not for a very long period.
Do you really think so?
The regime are in full attack mode on universities. J.D. Vance said professors are the enemies.
Yeah, well,
by which he meant education is the enemy. So they don't want no educating. They don't want no thought control in their minds. Well, they do want thought control, just not woke thought control. All right, well, please tell your son not to make any sudden moves. Don't make any. No accidents, please.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you for the great entertainment. I listen to you every Friday evening while I'm working here. It's only 5 o'clock here, or 6 o'clock. So
that's very nice of you, Steve. Don't tell anybody, because if you listen to this show in America, it'll probably put you on some sort of list.
Yeah, I guess I already am by now. I feel like I said too much.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Steve. There you are, you see? Keeping us safe. It just takes one person to say no. Just say no. Just say no, thank you. I mean, good manners don't cost nothing, do they?
Be polite.
LBC. Nick Abbott. On LBC, call 0345 6060 973.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking. I should remind you, by the way, that the Friday and Saturday night shows get put up the internet as a podcast. If you can't take it for 3 hours, let me rephrase that. If you can't listen to this show for 3 hours on a Friday and Saturday, then we do put them up the internet as a podcast. It's only on Global Player. It's exclusive to Global Player, which is free. You can get it from your App Store or globalplayer.com. It's got all of our stations, all of the podcasts we do, but the one for this show and the one on Saturday is it's called Nick Abbott The Whole Show Podcast. That's what to ask for, because the idea is we take the news and most of the ads out, mostly, which means it takes less time to listen to, which will give you more time to contemplate the end of all life on Earth. Ask for it by name on the Global Player. Nick Abbott The Whole Show Podcast. Hinkley, Janet. Oh.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I just wanted to explain to you where Trump's getting, where they've got those tariffs from. Right. It's not. They're not actually. You know when it shows you on that silly bloody poster thing he did.
Yes.
And it says like they charge us. I'm going to give you the example of Cambodia. So they said that it says on there that they charge us 97%.
Yes.
So we're going to be kind and we'll charge them 49%.
Right.
I mean, it's not charging them, obviously. It's going to be paid in America.
Yeah, but that's just a fact, though, Janet, and no one's interested in those anymore.
I know. A lot of people don't seem to realise it's ridiculous. But anyway, where he's got that figure from is a trade deficit. So Cambodia don't buy a lot of American products.
No, because they're too poor.
They're too poor. I mean, the average minimum wage over there is...
Threepence halfpenny a year.
Yeah, $200 a month. And the median is about 400. So, yeah.
Yeah, they ain't got no money.
No, they can't buy Teslas. Well, not that they want to. Most, but anyway.
No.
So, that 97%, it's the difference of the... trade, and that's what it's done. It was in the New York Times today.
Yes.
That's what all the countries have done.
I know. It doesn't make any sense of any kind, apart from he just wanted something to point to when he was giving one of his demented safe space rally speeches.
Precisely. Not only that, so that people go crawling to him. Oh, we'll support you, Donald.
Yeah, that's the idea, is that he wants countries and companies to come crawling to him for a carve-out from these tariffs, for which he will require paying personally.
Yeah. Take his what's it called, the cut off the top or whatever. Like the old mafia boss protection.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, except he won't be taking a cut off the top. He'll be taking all of it. No cuts.
Yeah. I mean, he's put a large tariff on Botswana. Well, they send diamonds to America.
Yeah.
But again, it's a poor country. I mean, just because they sell the diamonds, it's obviously going to some oligarch over in Botswana. It's not going to the general populace.
No, they're not. That's right. They're not sending him Tiffany earrings. They're sending uncut diamonds that some poor person has just dug up out the ground.
Yeah, but the thing is, when they hit what will happen is when they hit America, is it tonight they come in? I don't know when the tariffs come in. But as soon as it arrives at customs in America, they're going to slap like 50% on these diamonds.
Right. Well, that won't discombobulate people who purchase diamonds. I mean, some people do that, and others like you and me, Janet, will go to Tesco's and buy some cereal. But
I'll get mine out of a cracker.
Is that right?
Yeah. That's all I've got, Nick.
All right. Okay. Well, then you're one up on me, Janet. I haven't even got a cracker.
Oh.
I know.
I'll send you one.
All right. Thanks a lot. I'll watch for it at my door. Cheers, Janet. Yeah, if you pay Donald Trump money, then he will organise a carve-out from these tariffs. And I have evidence that that's true. Trump's new 10% universal tariffs, 10%'s the bottom line, that's us. They're higher for most, in fact, major economies. They're wreaking havoc on the global economy and expected to increase consumer prices. But the levies do not apply to fossil fuel products. Liquefied natural gas, crude oil, that sort of thing, the materials needed for making petrochemicals. Oil interests celebrated the carve-out. Yeah, they said...
Thank you.
Yeah, they said, we've never been so happy. They said, we welcome President Trump's decision to exclude oil and natural gas from new tariffs, underscoring the complexity of integrated global energy markets and the importance of America's role as a net energy exporter. Yeah, but they import too. And those imports, fossil fuels, get a pass. No tariffs. Why? Well, the fossil fuel industry poured $96 million into Donald Trump's re-election campaign and affiliated political action committees. He took a meeting of oil company executives before the election and asked them to give him $1 billion in exchange for getting rid of rules and regulations that are impeding their profitability. He said, give me $1 billion and I'll take away all of these environmental regulations that are, causing you discomfort. $1 billion. And they said, well, let's think about that for a little while. And they gave him $96 million, which ain't $1 billion, but it's not nothing. And for the minimum payout of $96 million, they got a complete carve-out of all of the tariffs, the fossil fuel industry. So that's how you do it. Just give him $96 million, and then he'll give you anything you want. That's the only equation you really need to think about, not this silly equation of the amount that you sell us and the amount that we sell you, divide the one by the other and multiply by 100 and then halve it, and then that's the tariff that we will impose on your entire country. Like it makes any sense. Oh, well, it's maths. Yeah, okay. He's put a tax on Norfolk Island. And I know what you're thinking. Where's that? Norfolk Island is a tiny Australian island in the South Pacific Ocean. It is defined by trees and cliffs. They have a population of 2,000 people. Now, the island did export bananas and bean seeds in the 1930s, but now it relies mostly on tourism. And the tariff being charged is 29%. On what? They don't sell anything. It's amazing. Other small Australian territories, bizarrely singled out, include the uninhabited, penguin-laden Heard and McDonald Islands. They ain't got nothing there but birds. Christmas Island and Cocos Keeling Islands, also going to be taxed very, very heavily. We have to do it. It's putting tariffs on places that don't have any people. Try to make this make sense. I double dare you.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I would say he's incompetent, but I don't want to do that because that's not nice.
Thank you for being nice, Donny. You're the best. This text says, do you think that Forrest Trump has a secret plan that no one can see apart from the inner circle? It's like the Emperor's new clothes. Your husband's not wearing any clothes, Melania.
I don't care.
She actually doesn't. Can't see a thing under that hat. Rochester. Hello, Lulu.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Lulu.
I didn't phone to talk about Trump. I want to be a Trump-free call, but can I just ask you a question?
No.
Is there no war in America now? Because, so you just said about fossil fuels and how we got all that money from the fossil fuel people.
$98 million.
Right. How can that be legal? That can't be legal, surely.
It doesn't really matter whether it's legal or not. He's going to go ahead and do it anyway. Who's going to stop him? But yes, I do believe that is legal. I mean, it's just obscene, the amount of money that America spends on its various elections. It's just absolutely preposterous that billionaires have taken over the world's, supposedly the world's greatest democracy.
Yeah, and like the other day, Musk tried to buy that election in Wisconsin with $25 million. Right. Okay, so he lost his money. How did he get away with that? Shouldn't he be in prison right now?
The way that he did it just seemed utterly bizarre. Now, I would imagine that if he was going to do it, he would have run it by a lawyer. I mean, he must be absolutely surrounded by lawyers, that man. He can buy every lawyer in America for the rest of his life. But to give a check for $1 million to people who said that they had voted and had voted against activist judges, I think was the phrase, it does really bring to question makes you question how any of this is legal. I mean...
Yeah, I know. And do you know what? It makes me think, if this was happening in some sort of African country, we'd be going in there, wouldn't we? And, this is terrible. We've got to intervene.
Well, I don't know about that. We might be sniggering about them behind their backs, but let's hope we wouldn't intervene.
Well, I don't know. But anyway, listen, Nick, I phoned with a palate cleanse.
Yes.
I've had a lovely day. Because it's my birthday today.
Is it?
And yes, it is. And I've been to Sea Salter. Do you know it?
You done what?
I've been to Sea Salter.
Sea Salter?
Salter. Sea Salter.
Spell?
With an L. C as in sea. S-A-L-T-E-R.
S-A-L-T-E-R. Salter. What's that?
It's a beautiful place. It's on the coast. It's next to Whitstable.
Oh.
You know Whitstable?
No.
No? I can't believe you've not been there. You'd love it. It's beautiful.
Well, okay, sizzle Whitstable for me.
Sizzle, what did you say?
Sizzle Whitstable for me.
Yeah, well, all you need to know, right? I mean, it was great until all the people from London started buying up the beach huts and the houses, and now the properties are, out of this world expensive.
Right.
But it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous little town, and it looks out over the estuary, really, but, it goes into the channel, and it's got lovely little bars and restaurants. But I went to the Sportsman in Sea Salter, which I do recommend. It's a Michelin star restaurant, and the food
well, then it's a no from
stunning.
me.
No, but honestly...
Michelin-starred, I have no idea what it is that they serve in that place, but Michelin-starred food is, A, too expensive, and B, it's fiddled about with too much. I mean, they present art on the plate. Nobody wants that. Just put the food on the plate, just slap it on and put it in front of me.
The food is, it's not just slapped on, but it is fabulous food. And it's not too arty-farty. It's not, and actually, this Michelin-star restaurant is ridiculously cheap compared to what it would be if it was in London,
Well,
so,
that's not really saying anything, though, is it? How much did it cost? Per person, not including wine?
£85 for a 5-course tasting menu.
£85?
What? Yeah, but every single course was just magnificent.
Yeah.
And they do these oysters there,
Did you, at the end of the meal, were you still hungry? Yes.
Well, no.
Yes.
No. Actually, because they give you amuse-bouches as well that aren't even on the menu. They keep bringing you these little amuse-bouches, and I was stuffed by the end of it, to be honest.
Okay, then. And I would imagine it being a Michelin-starred restaurant, they won't have a single solitary bottle of wine under, I'm guessing, £60?
No,
yes.
£29
Rubbish.
was the wine that we... No, seriously.
Per glass, maybe?
No. And, we go there every year, and it's always... it's gone up £5 since last year, but it's always very reasonable, and I just love it there.
Right.
Please go.
I'm certainly not going to be doing anything of the sort. No, I will.
I know you won't.
I will stick to Pizza
you're very ornery.
Express.
Oh God, not in Woking, I hope. Is it Woking?
Yes, I know where you're going with that, Lulu, and you shouldn't alter. So I
shouldn't alter.
You reverse out of that. But in closing. Yes, happy birthday, Lulu. Chris in Nottingham says, "Hi, Nick. I was just reading about Trump's casino failures. A casino bankruptcy? Who owns a casino and goes bankrupt? What are the odds on that?" says Chris. Another listener with material.
Oh, no.
It's about 33-1, Chris. Martin says, "Nick, the weather has been awesome in Scotland this week and will continue for another week, so there." Yeah, I know. I just looked it up. I can't believe it. Sunny all week. And Ian in Cornwall says, "Nick, the Donald says the markets are going to boom. The stocks are going to boom. The country is going to boom. Has Donny been listening to Baldrick's war poem? Check it out." No, I won't. But yeah, everything's going to go boom. No doubt about that. Let's have Watford. Simon. Simon has been waiting for 45 minutes. He's probably come to the end of a very, very busy day. He's totally exhausted. He's flat out, poor man. He's actually face down in soup. 0345 6060 973. Every couple of months that does happen, and I do try to wake him up. With up to this point, zero success. Oh well, never mind. This says, "If we could not decide whether water is wet and why milk is white, can we ascertain why Trump's ego is inflated? I'm going with a dose of self-loathing and daddy issues." Okay. I may have screwed that up a bit. Either that or it was screwed up when it got here. This text says, "Is that southern European wind that has been through Italy, does that mean it has a nice aroma?" That is painful. And this says, "Hi, Nick. Apparently the penguins on the Heard Island and McDonald are set to retaliate to the 10% tariff by putting them put upon them by the orange one. Literally no one or nothing is safe." Let's have Bath. Hello, Laura.
Hi, bestie.
Who?
I'm still... Nick. Hi, Nick. How you doing?
I'm great, Gail. How are you?
I use the term bestie. It's a term of endearment. It means best friend. I thought you'd appreciate it.
Oh, no, I thought you said Steve. Bestie, you said. Right.
Yeah. I'm still awake, by the way.
Great.
Your last caller cracked me up. Your caller before that, happy birthday to her, but she did cleanse my palate without my consent, so not too happy about that.
Right, reached into your mouth, yeah.
Oh, well, anyway, I was going to talk about penguins, but between me calling and you picking up, you've already talked about it, so I'll move on to something else. Great job on the podcast this week, Nick Abbot Habit. I had a blooming good laugh at that.
That's the other one, the other one that I do. The Nick Abbot Habit. It's 30 minutes of concentrated amusement, clips from old shows. Comes out on a Monday. You'll love it.
Yeah. So you'll have to send me some contributions to that little ad plug you just did then, because I played a role in that, didn't I? So first thing, April Fool's Day. I don't usually get pranked, but I was this year. And it was because there's a website, I won't mention the name, they sell chicken paraphernalia, and I buy stuff for the girlies sometimes. And I saw they had a joke product, but I didn't know it was a joke product. And when I tell you, I got so excited to buy this product. My heart broke when I realised that it was a fake one. It was a diffuser for chickens.
A what?
A diffuser for chickens.
A diffuser? What's a diffuser?
Yeah. You know those things that you put essential oils in them and they release it into the room? Yeah.
For chickens?
But it wasn't real. I was so upset. There was a button that said pre-order, and I clicked that button so boom and fast, let me tell you. And then it said, happy April Fool's Day, it's just a little prank, and I was just in a bad mood for the rest of the day, to be honest.
What does it smell of? Does it smell of that dip that you get with chicken wings?
I'm just going to sidestep that comment. You talked about tartar sauce on your podcast, and I thought you'd be interested to learn a bit of Korean. So I thought, can I teach you what tartar sauce is in Korean?
No, thank you. But
please.
tartar.
Bye-bye.
There you go. 0345 606. Well, she was very polite. She's asked, and the answer was no. And furthermore...
No.
This is LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Hello, everyone.
0345 6060 973. Tina in Ebervale says, have you seen the clip of the robot lunging in towards someone? It was almost human in its actions, terrifying. Which one? The clip of the robot lunging in towards someone. No, I haven't. I don't know which one you're talking about. I've seen the robot that does a side flip, like a cartwheel, but without putting its hands down on the ground. I mean, that is terrifying. They're getting entirely too concerning, robots, and now they've passed that Turing test and are on the verge of being smarter than we are. We're all in big danger.
Warning, warning.
This text says, olives, green or black, which is best? Well, I'm sorry if this sounds racist, but they all taste the same to me. Glasgow, hello, Eric? Eric? Is there anybody out there?
Sorry, Nick. Sorry. Hello.
There you are.
Pal.
Yes, sir.
Hey. Good evening.
Good evening.
Right. Let's not beat about the bush here. Right, okay. None of these problems would have happened if we never went into Iraq and Afghanistan.
None of these problems?
No. The way the world works now, if America and Britain, mainly America, obviously, they're the leading people. So if they decided not to invade and go into Iraq and then Afghanistan, there wouldn't be so many social problems at the minute, Nick. I believe that. I'm an ex-British Army soldier. I served in Iraq. And I believe that the way the world stage is sitting at the minute, if Iraq and Afghanistan didn't happen, the world would be a little bit more of a easier place to go along with.
But what would be the difference?
The difference? Well, there wouldn't be any hatred towards there wouldn't be elaboration on religion hatred for a start.
You think that different religions
I'm not finished,
would?
Nick. Hang on. I'm not finished.
Well, I don't. Well, I'm interjecting anyway. You don't think that different religions will be at each other's throats if the...
That's correct, Paul. Well done. Paul, thank you. You've just hit the... Yeah, that would be a starter. That would be a starter.
Well, that's never going to happen.
Okay.
Because
it will happen. But that's what we're striving towards.
That's never going to happen. That's the essence of religion. It's the differences between them. The slight differences between them will cause them to kill each other for thousands of years.
You're speaking over me, Nick. You're speaking over me a wee bit here, pal.
Are you speaking over me, though, Eric?
Certainly not, sir. You're the presenter. It's your show. But I'd like to put my point across. So that was the first point. The second point is
it better than the first point?
It's fantastic. This point.
It's different. Go ahead.
Right. Trading. If you want something off somebody, you need to get something in return.
Maybe.
Well, part of the parcel, unless you're a beautiful gentleman like me, okay, and that's something else that Britain's lacking on, is gentlemen like myself. Somebody that holds the door open for you, the old woman that walks into the pub and get a wee shandy.
A wee swally.
Right?
Yes.
A wee swally. Of course. That's something. The moral compass is going, is what I'm trying to say. But the moral compass in our life, you'll know, the young people that are coming through haven't got the same moral compass as you and me, pal. And it's part of religion, and it's part of what's happened with Iraq and Afghanistan, and everything else to do along with this, Nick.
Right. Okay, you're making absolutely no sense. Are you aware of that? No. Well, sorry to break the news to you, Eric, but I'm one of those people that likes to see it as or say it like I see it. 0 cents. But, apart from that, appreciate it. Whatever it was. This text says, Nick, I sometimes wonder who would have the nerve to take on Trump, and I always come round to Dame Edna. Who would be your choice, real or imagined? Jackie Chan. Scott in Chatham says, it's funny how Trump's blanket tariffs extend to an island dominated by penguins, but somehow Russia isn't on the list. I guess Vlad knows how to pick up a political puppet, says Scott, another listener with material.
Oh, no.
But I think the stated reason why Russia isn't on the list is because America doesn't trade with Russia at the moment. Well, supposedly doesn't. I mean, they kind of do. They get around it by selling crude to India and then buying the product that it is made into from India, thereby not buying it directly from Russia. But, I think we're probably doing that as well. Not entirely sure about that, but I think we probably are. But that's the stated reason, is that they don't trade with Russia at the moment anyway. But if they did, Russia would probably get a carve-out. With a nod and a wink. Madrid, Gray.
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Excellent. I've got to just talk about Sopranos for a second, if that's okay, just for a moment.
Absolutely.
Now, listen, this guy, the marmalade mobster, Donny Shreds, I guess you could call him, he's not good for business, It's nothing personal, but Carmine, Johnny Sack, they've all been sitting down, and he's got to go.
Well, he's if anybody invites him into a little boat trip on a lake, he knows what's in store. Ooh, never mind. He just forgot where he was. That's okay. Not a bad person, just a forgetful one. He used a builder's language.
Disgusting.
You believe that? This says, Nick, you'll never guess what I bought this week. Yes, you guessed it, groceries. Yes, I bought groceries. So old-fashioned, says that texter. Groceries. Nobody ever thought about groceries before, and I know what they are. They're things in a bag. Groceries. Nobody ever thought of such a thing. It's amazing. This says, Nick, did you hear the king blowing a carrot this way? Yes, he did. Yeah, I didn't hear it, but I saw him do it, which was probably even worse than hearing him while seeing him do it. It's not very regal, let's be honest. Did you hear the king blowing a carrot this week? I'm wondering how Meghan Markle is coping with this revelation. She's doing just fine. She's making jam or biscuits or whatever the hell it is. I've got no idea. This says, Scott in... Oh, no, done that. The penguin fella. How many more have I got? Oh, my God, you are kidding me. I'll never get through that. 15 pages of closely typed material. Oldbury. Hello, Ranjit.
Hi, Nick. You're all right, mate?
Yes, good, thanks.
Oh, my God.
Have you been frying? Have you been frying tonight?
Oh, very poorly tonight, mate.
Oh,
Very
really?
poorly this week. Yeah, last week was okay.
What was the
This
most
week-
popular thing on the menu?
I suppose it was kebabs again today. Fish is just too expensive.
Crabs?
Kebabs.
Oh, kebabs. Right.
Yeah, you're going to crash me into the news, aren't you, today?
I guess so. Do people really go to a chip shop for a kebab? I mean, they don't go to a kebab shop for chips.
They have to go to the bank first to get a mortgage to buy fish and chips now.
Right.
I'll be honest with you, because we only changed the prices last week on Monday. We had to put them up, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And today when I was surfing, I'm having a look. I'm typing things twice, and I wasn't. And it's just really bad now.
How much is a fish and chip? Medium fish and medium chips.
Medium chips and a large fish, £12.10.
What? £12.10.
Yeah.
Good grief.
That's so cheap. If you go to affluent areas, you're talking about £16 now.
Wow.
Nick, yeah. Nick, anyway, I want to talk about the dinglings in this country, right? You know, when the railway people got, the drivers and that, or the RMT staff got a pay rise, yeah?
Yeah.
The worst problem we got, and this is how people like Trump thrive. I've heard people going on this radio station, yeah. Oh, why do people on £65,000 want a pay rise? Well, hang on, they're trained to be train drivers. You're a working person, and so are they, right? We got the bin strikes in Birmingham, right, which is like literally about... I mean, I border on the Birmingham, yeah? And I've heard people saying this, are they on £35,000? Why do they want more? Hang on, you go and do it then.
Well, that's the trick that the rich play on the poor. They get the poor to punch down to those who are less well off than they are, instead of up towards the people that are pushing them down. It's not the people below you on the ladder pulling you down. It's the ones above you pushing you down.
Pushing you down, yeah. So what happens is we ask for a pay rise, yeah, on a percentage of whatever our job was.
Right.
So if you're on £100,000 a year and you've worked really hard to get there, you've educated yourself, you're a surgeon or whatever.
Or you just got lucky. Yes.
Well, no, if you got lucky, then you don't need a pay rise, mate, because...
Well, no, you do.
Well, you do. You're going to rob people then, but like a surgeon, right? Who's swatted all his life, or her life, to become a heart surgeon, and they're on £250,000 a year, saving people's lives.
Right.
If they want a 10% pay rise, give it to them, right? But the working man will begrudge another working man, and that's where we fall down, right?
We are persuaded to fight amongst ourselves. And you hear it so many times. Well, why these people are earning twice as much as me? Why are they asking for a pay rise? The problem is not the people who are earning twice as much as you. The problem is that you aren't earning as much as you should be.
Yeah, and that's what I think Donald Trump's done. He's alienated us from the Europeans further, right, by giving us a little sweet, right? Once we isolate ourselves from Europe even more, then he'll tell us, hey, listen, now you're my property. I will do to you now whatever I want to do. So we've got to be careful. Now, Starmer, right, should listen and get on with it. And don't ponder to him anymore.
No, I agree entirely, yes. And that scenario does coincide, of course, with what Vladimir Putin would want. So it's as though they're working in consort. It's as though they're the same person. Has anybody seen them in the same room at the same time? Thanks a lot, Ranjit. Gotta go. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Nobody.
They're eating the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
And it's a total disgrace. Everybody says so. Very important people come to me and say, "Sir, it's a disgrace." I say thank you. This text says Trump is recreating the financial crash of 1929 and Europe is similar to that of the 1930s. Trump is recreating the conditions of the 30s with the tariffs. If war breaks out, Dan will not come to the aid of Europe. Dan? Who's Dan? Desperate Dan? Who's Dan?
I'm Dan.
You're Dan?
I'm for this moment, I'll be Dan.
Well, maybe I'm Dan.
Maybe you are. Who knows?
We're all Dan. I'll read on. Maybe it will become clear. But, he says, we must remind ourselves that Trump is like a smart person. But that's as far as it goes. Trump wants to be president for another term, God help us all. He doesn't want to be president for another term. He is going to be president for another term.
I can be more presidential than anybody.
Yeah, he can be more presidential than anybody. That's what he meant by that. He can be the president longer than anybody, as in more than. That's what he meant by that. I had no idea until this moment. Gordon in Hampstead says, can you explain to Remainers that as 42% of our trade is with the EU and less than 12% with the US, that we should use the tariff crisis to realign with the EU? That at least is logical. Well, I imagine that the European Union buys pretty much everything that they want from us. I mean, with certain difficulties since Brexit, of course, but, you know, by and large, they're pretty much everything that we make that they want, they buy already. So I think we're going to have to open up new markets. Pork markets, perhaps, Liz?
Absolutely.
We've got to certainly deal with China more because, remarkably, they seem to be more reliable a partner than America is now. What a way to run a planet, eh?
Dreadful.
Denver, Colorado. Hello, Chris.
Hello. I thought of something else that you're wrong about, and I thought I'd call you and tell you about it. You're always saying that Idiocracy is a documentary.
Yes.
But I don't think so. I think it's a wild romantic fantasy about a brave president that can see beyond his own intellectual limitations. He has the wisdom to heed the advice of the strange and hated travelers.
For those who haven't seen Idiocracy, you've got to put the note in your diary to watch it straight away because you're breathing heavily into the microphone, Chris. Are you having a heart attack?
No, I'm trying to adjust my parameters to sound better.
Okay. Yes, you must watch Idiocracy straight away because it used to be a comedy about the future and now it's a documentary about the present. We're living in it.
We should hope.
Yeah. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Chris. You need to, I don't know, stop exercising while you're calling or whatever it is that you're doing. That got a bit weird just for a moment. A little bit too much heavy breathing. I've got a heavy breather on the phone.
Disgusting.
Can you believe that? This text says, evening, Nick. The good news regarding your insurance story is that all the tango-loving fans are moving to Florida, where the weather will get them. Yeah, it will. Yeah, and if the weather don't get you, the Gators will instead. Moving to Florida. Yeah, there's no problems in Florida. Yeah, go there. This says the megalomaniac orangutan has done this deliberately, smashed down the stock market prices, then he and his wealthy mates can load up on the undervalued assets. Market manipulation in plain sight. Well, it certainly would have been handy to know that he was going to do this before he did it. But you could say that about pretty much everything that he's done so far. I bet somebody's making a lot of money. Buy the what do they call it? Buy the dip? Something like that. They're calling you a dip, Donny.
Oh, shut up!
0345 6060 973. Richmond. Hello, Fred.
Hi, Nick. Good evening.
Good evening.
Couple of points.
Yes.
Donald Trump is in awe of the 1800s because there were only tariffs. There was no taxes then. There was only tariffs. And he even alluded to the fact that during the revolution, they took over the airports. So
the airports?
Yes, he did say that.
Really?
Yep. Secondly, just recently, he's been saying that after these tariffs, the country will get rich. And the reason why he's saying that is because he actually believes that when he puts taxes on China, it's the Chinese that pay the taxes.
I don't know. Does he believe it? Because he must have been...
Said it.
He keeps saying it.
Yes.
But only an idiot would believe that. He can't be that stupid.
No, he's idiot.
I know he's idiotic, but he isn't that stupid.
Well, he said it a few times.
I know he does, but that he says it does not necessarily mean that he believes it, because everything that man says is a lie, which he must know. He just doesn't bring that thought to the forefront of his mind, which allows him to continue lying like that.
Except that his cult believes it. And finally, you just touched on a subject which I was going to mention anyway. I think the word you were looking for was he was selling short. What they have done is they have sold a lot of shares they don't own. They have announced the tariffs. The prices have collapsed.
Yeah.
Just before he's going to announce that he's removing tariffs, he'll buy a lot of stock back, and his friends and himself, they'll make a killing.
Yes. That's kind of different to what I was... shorting is different. As far as I'm aware, you you borrow shares at a certain price, wait for them to go down, and then you buy them back and sell them. Or I don't know. It sounds like
they're selling them.
It sounds like something. It sounds like something that should be illegal to me. But I'm talking about buying the dip. Like Apple just lost $4 quadrillion dollars off there. So it would have been handy to know that Apple were going to be impacted by these tariffs before Trump said it.
I agree, but we should have guessed that, because if he actually put the tariffs on, we should have known that it was going to tank the share prices. But the trick is when he, just before he decides he's going to remove the tariffs, he will buy a lot of shares. And that way he'll make a killing, because the shares he buys, or his buddies buy, they'll shoot up.
If that is what happens, that is what will happen. Yeah, if he and his insiders actually... because, insider trading, people pretend that it doesn't happen very much, but that's the oil that greases the financial wheels, isn't it? I mean, how do you think that these morons made all of that money? I mean, each and every one of them comes out with something stupid every time they open their mouths. How do they become billionaires?
Absolutely, and they do, yes. But it's not real money, you see. It's all shares and so on. So, share prices. So that's what I was going to say.
All right, I'll see you in the line for soup. Thanks a lot, Fred. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, pretty soon we'll all be standing by our cars with a painted sign asking people to if they'll buy it for pennies. We'll sell my car for food. This text says, "Hi Nick, I was discussing the whole Trump thing with a friend in West Virginia. He was adamant and said Trump will turn this country around 360 degrees, maybe more." 360 degrees, maybe more. Yeah. Another one of your fans, Donny.
I love the poorly educated.
He sure does. They keep giving and giving, don't they? Like literally giving and giving. This says, "My dad gave me a great piece of advice. He said, don't mess with crazy. But he didn't anticipate that crazy might become the US president. So what do you do when crazy messes with you? Yes. That's right. Just rolling into a fetal position and hoping the bully doesn't pick on us is not really a plan. It's the absence of a plan, isn't it? We have to push back. And the countries that push back, they get treated with a certain degree of reverence compared with the rest of us, because throwing yourselves at the feet of somebody like that does not work. Begging him for mercy is just going to make him worse. So you've got to push back. Canada pushed back. Now they look, un-Canadian. They look aggressive and strong. And where's Skier? I mean, I know it's a difficult thing to do. It's because one person seems to have upended the entire world. It's just shaking the whole world up like a snow globe. One person. That's what's doing this. And one person could start World War III. I mean, I don't want to get all depressed about it. Oh, there was this thing in... I don't know why they put this in, though. But there was a thing in the Mail about children who were interviewed on television in 1966. Did you see that? And they made eerily accurate predictions about what life would be like now. Well, I'll come to that in a minute. Now, if they did that again today, if they sat children down and interviewed them on TV to make predictions about what life would be like, say, 40 years from now, I wonder what they would say. Nothing good, I'm sure. I'll get to that in a bit. 0345 6060 973. Bodmin, Malcolm.
Good evening, Nick. How are you,
yes, sir. Good, thanks.
Well, a bit of perspective and calm for you, my friend.
Oh.
Our Welsh wizard from the valley, Jeff.
Right.
From there.
Yeah.
Who was a weather educator, he said, for many a year.
A weather educator?
Yeah.
What's that?
He said he taught the weather on rising seas, didn't he?
Oh, right. Yes. A caller some while ago on this show said he'd been teaching kids about climate change.
Yeah. I did a cursory search earlier, as I do, and it turned up some very interesting things. Now, Jeff was slightly concerned about London and various other cities. Now, Amsterdam, they have dikes.
Yeah.
London has something called the Thames Barrier.
Right.
Now, the Thames Barrier will protect London from 3.5 metres of tidal increase.
Yeah, I think it's already...
Or rising water.
No. Not defunct, but what's the word?
No,
it's already not up to scratch.
No, that's not true.
I think it is true.
It's not true, it's wrong.
I believe that it is correct in every way, shape and form. Go ahead.
Let me explain why. These internet websites that I searched, they tell me some interesting things. Now, you know me, I'm all for fear. I'm all for striking the fear of God into people about climate change and so on and so forth, because it's what people need. They need to be scared, right? But when you actually look into it, in the last 100 years, the seas have risen by something like, I think it was 1.5 feet or something, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, the Thames Barrier has got 3.5 metres that the water the other side of it can rise before London is flooded, right?
Yes.
That's good news. That's good news.
Well,
but
I don't know.
The big thing is this, right? They reckon between now and 2050, again, is only going to be a couple of feet rise.
Yes, but water doesn't rise. Wait a minute. Hang on a minute. Water doesn't rise like concrete. It doesn't just rise and stay there.
No,
water is a moving thing. It has waves in it.
Yes, but they can predict what the effects will be. So say if you get a choppy afternoon and the sea has risen a metre and a half, right? Then it's going to splash over the Thames Barrier, okay? But it might only be for 3 hours splashing. and on it goes. So I'm all
Can you foresee the circumstance in which the water will rise and it will be prevented from going down the Thames directly, but it will rise to such a point that it floods the surrounding area around the barrier and just goes around it?
Well, I've considered that because I thought, like you, well, if it's holding back 3 metres and its maximum is 3.5, what about the Thames filling up the space behind the barrier, right? So in other words, London, the water is inching up the walls and it's going deeper and deeper and deeper, but there are things called pumps and so on and so forth. But that's just a minor...
Pumps will save us? Right? Is that your contention?
That's a minor detail, okay?
Right.
Now, Trump, moving on to things...
There are, by the way, there are other cities in danger other than London in this country. Yeah. All of the ones that are by water, for instance, which is all of them. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on swiftly, right? This is something infinitely more dangerous than the rising water around Britain's shores or any other shores, right?
I doubt it.
Trump, right? Now, you said earlier, Cook. What's his name? Cook, the Apple guy.
Yeah, Tim Apple.
Well, yeah, Tim Apple, right? You said, and it was on the news, 500 million, half a billion.
Yeah.
Half a trillion?
83 gajillion,
right?
yeah.
Now, if this man Trump has lost Apple that much, how much has he lost Twitter and Facebook and on it goes? Now, these people were in the front row at his inauguration, right?
Yes.
These people are not going to be on board. Elon Musk is in trouble, right? His fortune is shrinking by the hour.
Yeah, he's not in trouble. It could shrink by 90% and he would still have more money than any human could ever spend in one lifetime.
Yes, but in keeping him sweet with Trump, unless it stays pretty much where it is now, he will be out of favour with Trump, Nick.
He is out of favour. He is out of favour. He's just been shown the door, has he not?
Yeah. But the point I'm making, Nick, is this. I think the rest of them will soon be showing Trump the door because all the money people who got Trump into the White House this time around,
they're going to be upset. And you know how much that matters? It doesn't. And you know how much that matters? It doesn't matter at all. He's got their money. He doesn't need their money any more than he needs the votes from Americans next time round. It's fixed. He said that himself. I fixed it.
Okay.
You don't have to vote anymore. He said that. He's got their money. He's got the position. He's got the power. He doesn't need them anymore.
But what if they find a better man for them than him?
They already have a better man. He's called J.D. Vance. And I seriously doubt that J.D. Vance could win an election. Not like Donald Trump could, because he ain't got charisma. He's just got this weird vibe about him. People aren't going to go out and vote for J.D. Vance like they voted for Donald Trump. The people who are into Donald Trump have joined a cult. Nothing he does is going to turn them away. That's all he needs. He just needs 30% of the population and as much help and assistance as he got last time around with those pesky voting machines, and he can be the president for life, forever. He doesn't need those people anymore. So that's where your argument falls down, I'm afraid, Malcolm.
No, it does not, Nick.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, from where I'm sitting, yes, it does. Thanks for that.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
What the hell is going on?
And nobody knows, Dolly, including you. I do believe you're just making this up as you go along. And in reference to that last call, the reason that business persons won't say boo to Donald Trump is because they think that if they capitulate, if they prostrate themselves in front of him, they will make more money. They will make more money than they would if they didn't. And that will continue to be true forever, regardless of what he does to the economy. And this is the same thing that Donald Trump is doing to countries now. Every country has to come and beg for a pass on these tariffs, and he will think about it. That's why every country got a tariff. So that every single one of them now has to come crawling to Donny to beg for favours. And, of course, favours cost money. Huge. Alan Rusbridger wrote about this in The Independent. He said, cowardice, there's a lot of it about. In the US today, it's spreading very rapidly, and there seems to be no known cure. An enterprising journalist at Politico called it the Great Grovel. In a piece, John F. Harris chronicled how a parade of the wealthiest and most elite institutions in America have capitulated to a series of unprecedented demands from Donald Trump and his brutish team of retribution seekers. And he lists the wealthiest people on the planet, every single one of them, crawling to Donny, begging for favours. Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, took the knee. ABC, the TV company. Rather than tell the president-elect where to shove his lawsuit, they paid him $15 million to settle an eminently defendable defamation claim. Or the journalists covering the White House. They allow one of their own to get banned from the building and keep asking softball questions anyway. The great universities, hoisting the white flag above their hallowed halls of learning at the first hint of trouble. Law firms in America. I mean, Donald Trump has been threatening... I mean, it's the wannabe dictator's playbook. I mean, it's so obvious you can tell ahead of time where he's going to go next. Art institutions, that's where he's going to go next. And he's going to discover that they show degenerate art. Remember that word. And he's going to ban it. Because he's gone through the universities and the schools. Of course, he's going to defund them if they teach kids anything that Donald Trump doesn't approve of. So you go for the educators first, because you've got to have stupid people, because stupid people don't question what the dear leader says. And you've got to get the Luden press, the lying press, fake news, in his words, and the law. Some of the biggest law firms in America have come out of their offices with their hands in the air. Trump began threatening one law firm in retaliation for some slight, real or imagined, and within a week they surrendered and promised to devote $40 million to Donald Trump in legal services, and vowed to abandon any DEI policies that seems to exercise him so much. And these are companies that bill over $2 billion a year. Law companies, law firms. Law firms gave up immediately. And it just goes on and on. He says, what if Zuckerberg and Bezos held their nerve? What if ABC had told Trump that they'd see him in court? What if the Ivy League universities had stood shoulder to shoulder with Columbia, which was the first university he went after? What if the fabulously wealthy law firms had joined together to sue Trump for trying to blackmail them? But that would require powerful and wealthy people to show a bit of backbone. Cowardice is contagious. Welcome to the Great Grovel, says Alan Rusbridger. It's a good column. And that's why he's going to get away with it, because people around him will be fearful of the consequences if they don't crawl across the carpet to kiss his ring. What a way to run a world, eh?
Dreadful.
Shocking. But he's going to get away with it because people fear what he might do if they don't capitulate. Which is incredible, really. I mean, did countries and companies fear the blowback if they didn't do what Joe Biden said? No. Or Bill Clinton. Or Obama. None of those people. You could disagree with them, but you didn't think that any of those people would try to put you out of business or ruin your country's economy. Just Donald Trump. How has the human race, with the 8 billion or so people at its disposal, how did we choose that person to be our leader? Because if aliens from space did come and visit us, and they said, can Kenny Everett. We'd have to introduce them to him. And they'd think that we were joking. And aliens from space have got no sense of humour, zero. This entire planet would be a smouldering cinder probably before they blast it off. They'd be doing that aliens line. I say we blast off and nuke the entire planet from space. It's the only way to be sure. Sim in South London says, Trump told NBC this week that he hasn't ruled out a third term and that there are methods in getting one. You were so right, it's scary, says Sim. Yeah, well, I'm adding it to my Donald Trump bingo card. He ain't leaving. Shooting, he'll have his people shoot into crowds of protesters. That's coming up. I would imagine it'll be by the end of the year. There will be, this is a bit out there, this one, but there will be a nationally televised execution. Those will come back again. What else? He'll send weaponry to Vladimir Putin, and perhaps troops as well, if things go very, very badly for him. I'm ticking them. I'm getting prepared. Some of them I've ticked off already, and some of them I'm poising my pen above the paper. Any moment now, you wait.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
You're joking.
Arthur in Arkansas texts, Nick, I'm standing by as your Arkansas correspondent for the annual spring planting of the porch toilets. It's daffodils this year, so it should be exciting. Back to you in the studio. I don't get that. I mean, I know what a porch toilet is, but what's that got to do with daffodils? Maybe he's confused. You know, being in Arkansas and all. It says, I caught some of what you were saying about the adverse effects of global warming on financial services. If no insurance means no mortgages in the future, does that mean the banking industry will crash? It's worse than that. Everything will crash. We won't be able to get anything done. Because if your insurance company... I mean, and this was a big cheese, in case you missed it right at the beginning of the show, a big cheese in one of the world's biggest insurance companies said that climate change could mean the end of capitalism. Not the end of, lots of food out of season being available in your supermarket, or cars might be 10% more expensive. No, it's the end of everything. Because if you can't get insurance, then you can't buy a house. No, unless with cash. If you want a mortgage, you've got to get insurance. If you can't get insurance, you can't get a mortgage. And if you can't get insurance, you can't start a business because you can't build a factory. And you can't build a shop because you can't run a shop without insurance. Nothing works anymore. If you can't insure your life, then nothing works anymore. It's all based on insurance. And when people don't want to insure anymore because the losses are too great, and we're into the trillions a year now, insurance companies are paying out for the effects of global warming, it's trillions of dollars. And that's a number that's so big, I'll do the seconds thing again. More or less, 1 million seconds is 11 days, 1 billion seconds is 37 years, and 1 trillion seconds is, I think, 33, is either 37,000 or 3,700 years. Anyway, it's a big number. Huge. And they're losing that in dollars per year because of the effects of climate change. So, I mean, they're just going to be saying blanket no's. No, Great Britain, we're not going to insure anything in your country anymore. Or California, we're not going to insure any of your houses for wildfire damage, which is what they did. And a lot of those people are, they ain't got no money and they ain't got no house no more. All their knickknacks have, they've gone up. Burning cinders. So we got that. We got that to look forward to, which is going to make this whole Donald Trump episode seem like child's play, as in that child. Richmond, Aisling.
Hi, Nick.
Aisling.
Hi, how are you?
Great, mate.
Good. Because I hope we don't. So I was just calling about, so I've got a few, like my cousins live over in the States, and I've got a few friends over there as well.
And I know that you always say that, I've wanted to say this to you for a little while. I know you always say that it's kind of, the less educated people that vote for Donald Trump, but it's really not. It's the scary thing.
Well, by and large, it is. I mean, I'm not saying that...
How did he get in? Well, let's not go there.
Yeah, I'm not saying that only poorly educated people vote for him, but by and large, that is an indicator of which way they're going to vote. The people with no formal education or low attainment in education are more likely than not to vote for Donald Trump.
Maybe. I think what's kind of worrying, though, is that even the ones that I know that will have voted for him, they don't want to talk about it. So it's like they want to vote for him, but they want to be oblivious to the reality of what it is to have him as president.
Well, if you'd done something stupid, Aisling, you'd probably wouldn't want to talk about it either.
Probably, yeah, probably. But they keep agreeing with everything he does, even if they know that it's like each thing after the next is just worse than the one before.
I think it's loss of face. People are very resistant to losing face, so they won't admit that they were wrong. They will just come up with reasons why they were right. It's like the Brexiters. They will never admit that they were wrong. There was always going to be a reason why it could have worked but didn't, because of woke liberals or people didn't believe in it enough, or, there's always some reason.
Yeah, it's so infuriating because they will not have a conversation about it, and it's so infuriating.
Actually, you don't have a conversation about it with them. Just don't.
No, that's what my dad says.
Yeah, no
that's
good will come of it. Well, listen to your dad.
There.
Yeah, listen to your dad.
And I'm like, no, because I really, really can't leave it alone. And then Dad's like, don't bring up politics.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. I'm like, but we're just living in this vacuum of reality. Like, it's so painful.
Yeah, you're doing it though, Aisling.
I know.
Can't help it, can you?
No.
Do you ever listen to that podcast that I do with Carol McGiffin?
Yeah. Yes, it's so good.
So do the trick that me and Carol do. We have done we've done over 300 episodes, and we haven't agreed on anything in any single one of them, to my knowledge. And the reason that we can continue to do them, even though we disagree violently on every subject under the sun, is, and this is my genius, Aisling, I invented this game. What you have to do is, as soon as politics or something that's going to cause a row comes up, you shout out your safe space word, and then you have immediately to talk about that subject that has been decided in advance. Or in a family dinner situation, everybody writes an idea for a subject on a piece of paper, puts it in a bowl, and as soon as your racist uncle starts bellowing about the neighbours or whatever it is, then everybody shouts out their safe space words, and you pick the subject out of a bowl, and then you start talking about that, and thereby family harmony breaks out. It works.
Yeah, maybe, or just be the only sober one in the room and hide under the table.
Oh no, I don't recommend that.
Yeah, well, I sometimes anyway. But yeah, no, it is infuriating. But I think, like you say, just don't go there.
Yeah, it's pointless. You're never going to convince them they've done wrong, or rather, they will never admit that they've done wrong.
No, but speaking of good things, actually, to switch off is this week. You know what I started doing is I started listening to Jacqueline Wilson's audiobooks that I used to read as a kid, and there's someone I used to listen to.
Who's that?
It's definitely a good escape. Jacqueline Wilson.
Unfamiliar? Who's Jacqueline Wilson?
So Jacqueline Wilson, she wrote, I'm trying to think of ones that you might know, because, I mean, a lot of more girl readers might have read them. She wrote, Bad Girls, Girls Under Pressure, Girls in Love, The Lottery Project.
Right, these sound like girls' things.
They are girls' books, yeah. No, well, that's because I'm looking at her for uni stuff, and
these these are children's books.
They are children's books,
right.
But I'm looking at them from a different lens. But yeah, it's they're just lovely to listen to. They're lovely to look back, and they bring back a lot of memories. Right. And I was thinking of you when I was listening, because I was like, this is what Nick would recommend. He'd recommend turning off
Yes.
what I'm listening to. And
Go
just,
to your happy place. Exactly.
Yeah, literally, exactly.
Yes.
I really liked your alien impression, by the way. That was very impressive.
Well, I ripped
came
that
out of
off.
nowhere.
I ripped that off from Kenny Everett directly.
That was
from
wonderful. Well
Captain
done.
Kremen and the Krells. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was excellent.
Oh, well, I appreciate it, Aisling. And yes, always go to your happy space. HAPPY-ness. And don't try to convince people that the stupid thing that they've done is stupid, because they will dig their heels in and resist. I wish you all the best. That game that me and Carol play, by the way, it has saved our relationship more than once. I mean, there was a couple of times in the course of recording 300-odd episodes that I, and probably she as well, thought, oh, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I can't do this with somebody who thinks so opposite to me on every given subject. But the game that I invented has come to our rescue. You're welcome.
Thank you.
The like I said, you need to have a safe space word which you yell out when the topic strays into something that's going to cause a row, and then you start talking about something else immediately. And people send us lists of topics that we can, have a chat about, and we're gradually working through them. By the way, the podcast is a problem-solving podcast. It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, in which the delightful Carol McGifford and I try to solve people's problems, conundrums, issues, things they've always wondered about and never really known the answer to. Well, if you have one of those, leave it with the unprofessionals. Simply send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com. NICKANDCAROL @global.com, and prepare to be totally satisfied.
Oh, right, yeah.
Now then, can I squeeze one in before the break? I do believe I can, and it's a person in York called Claire. Claire.
Hi.
Claire.
I was just calling up about these tariffs.
Yes.
I really don't understand why people are wanting Keir Starmer to respond with more tariffs, because that's just like shooting ourselves. I mean, it gives you a moment of feeling, oh, I showed you, don't mess with the UK. It's like immediate gratification. But we're basically just punching ourselves. It's like itching a mosquito bite, and then 2 minutes later, it's even more itchy and painful than it was before.
Oh, but the delicious scratch, though, Claire.
I know, but it's just not worth it. What I think we should do is that I don't think UK businesses who send products to the USA should absorb the extra tariff costs.
Well, they won't. They won't.
They may lose a little business if their products are more expensive in America, but that will be less damaging than imposing tariff taxes on the products everyone in the UK will pay. That affects everyone. And
it doesn't if you don't buy American.
Well, no, and that is the other thing I think we should do. I think we should all, and I'm going to really try my hardest, first try and buy British. If I can't, then look European.
Right.
That is the way to go, because then that doesn't provoke an escalation of a tariff war. Trump can't, I mean, Keir Starmer can say, I can't help what my population buy.
That won't help, because their calculation is based on the trade deficit that America has with any country. Now,
I mean, it's absolute nonsense. I mean, how can a poor country like Bangladesh
yes, that's silly.
be buying as much as what the US do? I mean, it's just absolute, utter primary school nonsense.
It doesn't make any sense on any level. That's right. But we're dealing with a moron bully. How do you deal with a moron bully? You give him everything that he wants, and you tell him that he looks handsome and smart?
Well, no, because Canada, for example, Canada, they provide essentials to the USA, like lumber to build houses, electricity, fertilizer. They're in the prime position to fight back. We don't provide anything essential to the USA. It'd be an absolute pointless thing for us to be then saying, oh, well, we'll put tariffs on, we're just kicking ourselves. It'd be like doing Brexit all over again.
But it's kind of like saying somebody is punching you in the face, and if you punch them back, well, that might stop them, but you'll hurt your hand. Now, is the alternative just to stand there and take it?
Nothing's ideal, but I think countries who are in prime position to fight back should. But I think it's going to take time of the American economy for the American voters to find that their products are more expensive. That is the only way this comes to an end, not by just escalating and escalating.
I'm not sure because, Vladimir Putin runs Russia, and I'm sure that life in Russia has been considerably worsened because of his foray into Ukraine. But that's not stopping him doing it, what the public thinks. The autocrats aren't remotely interested in what the public thinks after they've acquired power.
Well, I mean, every fibre of my being wants to fight back. Every fibre of my being, but I just don't want to hurt our country even more.
Well, I think that's a very good idea. Buy British, first of all, if you possibly can. Second, buy Europe, buy European. I mean, there really isn't anything that America sells us that we can't get a similar product at perhaps even a better price if we just look. I mean, there really isn't anything. Jeans, clothes of all kinds, cars. Nobody's really interested in an American car in this country. Have you driven an American car? No thanks. Stereos, everything that people buy, carpets, curtains, furniture. There's nothing that America sells that we can't get better, more locally. So let's do that. Let's use our power positively.
I really want some high-profile, like radio presenters like you and newspapers to make a list of products and product alternatives, so that people know that there is alternatives.
Right.
I really want that to happen.
You can do it yourself in a supermarket. You get your spectacles on, Claire, and you can read the small print on the back of the can.
I will do it.
Yeah.
I will do it.
I'm going to do it too.
There's going to be lazy people who won't want to.
And I've mentioned this before, but you know what Canadians are doing in order to help their citizens make the right choice? In the supermarket, they're turning American goods upside down on the shelf, so that Canadians who come after them don't have to do the peering at the labels thing. They can just see, these products are upside down. That's Canadian for they're American, don't buy them. And then they'll buy the Canadian alternative.
Can I just tell you what's broken in the last hour on MSNBC? That Trump's Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, who's been out on the airwaves the last few days defending this tariff debacle, but now it's apparently he's trying to find an exit door because the debacle is damaging his credibility. That ship sailed, mate.
Sailed and sunk. Yeah, well spotted. Thanks a lot, Claire.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Come on, we're running late.
We are running late. This text says, beavers, in relation to a call I had some while ago, beavers are utterly awesome and have been reintroduced for a good reason. They are incredible for slowing down flooding and continuous irrigation. True story, do some research. I most certainly will do nothing of the sort. You imagine that? Glasgow, hello Fiona.
Hi Nick, how's it going?
Good, thanks.
Good.
Hey, have you seen the weather for the next week?
Oh my goodness, it's wild.
It's unbelievable is what it is, Fiona. Every
really
day a sunny day. Can you believe that?
I barely can, and we're drying out, honestly. We've almost turned desiccated.
Yeah, you'll be begging for rain by the end of next week.
I know, that's it. But, yeah, enjoying it while it lasts, for sure. Yeah. And that is my solace with all of this crazy Trump stuff happening at the moment.
Well, that's the thing with nature. It doesn't care about the stupid things that humans do. Nature is going to go ahead and do its thing anyway.
Exactly, yeah. And I've heard you say that to other people before when they've been a bit despairing. And, yeah, it's a really true point. So
yes. I mean, I was out in it a couple of times this week, and it's just, every year it seems to get better and better, nature.
Yeah, like I think this year spring has been really vibrant. It's been like really in your face.
Yeah,
So
the blossom is heavy on the trees. Yeah.
It sure is, yeah. So I don't know if you want any more Trump chat at this stage in the night, but
yeah, go on then.
Okay, so I listened to a different podcast. I know this is controversial saying that to you. So I don't know if you've come across the Blind Boy podcast before. It's this guy that's based in Limerick, and he's got a good way with words. And he did this podcast to assess why everything feels so chaotic now. And it was all on the theme of neoliberalism. And I thought it was just a really nice way of putting it. But basically, it's all just like Trump is just following this pattern of encouraging a free market for rich people to do what they like, and without any kind of regulation, concern for people and working conditions, the environment, whatever it is, something can be exploited for the benefit of the few. So
I think there's a lot of things going on at the same time. I think on the one hand, there's people who want to just smash everything to the ground and then see what grows back. Now, in the meantime, millions of people's lives will be ruined, but, they don't care about that because the people instigating this won't be one of them.
No.
And the other thing is that rich people don't like paying tax, and it doesn't matter what the rate of tax is, because even if it was 1% of a vast amount of money is still a vast amount of money. So it's not the percentage, it's the amount the percentage is leveled on. So rich people don't like paying tax at all, and they doubly don't want to pay any tax if it doesn't improve their lives personally. Because most tax will go to people who aren't billionaires. I mean, the government spending on our tax money goes to people that need help. They need state schooling, they need the NHS, and they need, a police force and all of these things, which billionaires tend not to need any of those things. And so billionaires don't like having to essentially, in their minds, prop up poor people who didn't have the wherewithal to become rich. They deliberately decided to get born to poor parents.
Which is such a twisted logic.
Yeah.
And also the fact that, not supporting people and letting people get sick and in financial difficulty and, that destabilizes everything. So you would think that they can see that actually that doesn't benefit them in the long term.
Yeah, but they don't think like that because they live a life walled off from the rest of us by money.
Yeah.
So they don't see that any of the consequences of these actions are going to affect them personally, apart from freeing up a lot of land and a lot of resources that poor people are gorging on to improve the lives of the super rich. I do think it's a sort of, people say the word reset, but it's more than that. It's they want Maybe population, the world population to be halved, perhaps?
Yeah.
They won't have to spend so much money on propping up poor people, which they object to from the poop deck of their solid gold boats.
I mean, I guess if you think of it in that extreme kind of term, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, that turns everything on its head, though, really, doesn't it? Because it just means that there's not really a value, an inherent value of people.
Oh, no. People are just annoying. They get in the way and they suck up a lot of money, which could be spent on, nicer things like a new Aston Martin or a new island or, whatever it is that occupies the desires of the super rich. They want to get rid of us, essentially, because we're an impediment to their increased happiness. Imagine having that much money and just being obsessed with getting more of it. It's a sickness.
Yeah, it truly is. And that's a really comforting way to kind of end your show.
Yes, we're doomed. We're going to be sport for rich people. Yeah, when they run out of pigeons to shoot and grouse, it's going to be us next.
Well, yeah.
Wear something green, Fiona. They might not be able to see you. All right.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for the advice.
All right. What a positive note to end on. Non. 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 Non.